get to a Fox 5 News alert now. Indictment number 4 for former President Donald Trump. A Georgia grand jury handing down the 13 felony charges against Trump and several others, including Rudy Giuliani and former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. Fox 5 Chief Legal Correspondent Katie Barlow back with us to continue to report on the former president's legal woes. We'll find out more about what's happening in Georgia and what it means as we get closer to the 2024 election. You know, Katie, one of the things, first of all, I'm hoping you can break down in a simple way the difference in this case with the state charges versus the federal charges that we've seen in the past with these indictments and how that could potentially impact things like an election in 2024.
Certainly, these state charges are perhaps the most wide-ranging charges that we've seen of the 4 indictments that have now come down against former President Donald Trump. This 98-page document contains a litany of potential alleged crimes related to racketeering. I can explain and get into that in a second, related to these efforts to subvert the Georgia election. And it's not just Donald Trump who is listed here. There are 19 individuals, including former senior DOJ official Jeff Clark, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, a number of lawyers listed right alongside former President Donald Trump. So this is arguably the most wide-ranging allegations and accusations against the former president. They are state charges, which means right now Georgia is responsible. District Attorney Fani Willis in Fulton County brought the charges. Georgia will be responsible for handling it in state court. But I also would keep an eye on how former President Trump and his legal team react to that. To your point, Steve, this is different than the federal charges that we've seen come down that work their way through the federal system. These are before a state court and a state judge, and it might be strategically beneficial for Trump to try and move these cases out of state court and get them before a federal court. We saw him try to do the same thing in New York. That effort is failing in New York right now, but he's got appeals.
So in a nutshell, and one potential reason for that, and this is a conversation I don't think anybody ever thought that we would have, but should the former president be convicted on these charges, state charges, and then elected president of the United States, these would not be pardonable offenses, correct?
Yes, that is my understanding. There are different rules that apply to pardons in Georgia as opposed to the federal system. So as president and as the chief executive officer of the federal government and the executive branch, he would have no ability to pardon himself from these state charges. But in addition to that, the way that Georgia works, as I understand it, is the governor also does not have the pardon power. That belongs to a semi-independent pardon board that looks at these types of charges and also cannot pardon or cannot commute a sentence until after it has been served. I believe 5 years after it has been served.
Katie, I want to ask you real quick.
So Georgia's a bit different.
We only have about a minute left, but you mentioned RICO, and this is a statute that typically is tied to, I mean, it could be organized crime, when you have a number of people who are involved in a certain type of activity together, right? So in this case, it looks like they're looking to essentially try everybody involved here together. What are the advantages or disadvantages of doing that?
Well, we learned that from Fani Willis last night. She was asked directly, do you plan to charge all of these defendants together, all 19? She said yes. She also plans to ask for a trial date in 6 months. That can get kind of wily and unmanageable. It's certainly possible to try them all at once, although it's likely perhaps that some individuals may plead out before we get to a trial. But getting all of that organized, all of those facts, all of that evidence, all of the pleadings and the filings that will be required to get to a trial date will take time. And as you said, all 19 of these individuals are listed as being a part of this criminal enterprise, which is what the Georgia RICO statute is all about. An enterprise that exists for the sole purpose of committing crimes here related to conspiracy to subvert the Georgia election and commit election fraud.
Katie, super quick follow
there are many
on this.
Pages dedicated in the document to it.
I want to just tell me real quick, Katie, if you're trying them all together, can one person still testify against somebody else? Perhaps cop some type of plea and testify against somebody else? Or if you're all being prosecuted together, is that put a limit on that?
Yes, a lot can change over the course of the trial period. People can decide to cooperate up and until the very last moment. So something to keep an eye on with all 19 of these individuals listed.
We're going to keep an eye on you, Katie, because you're going to join us later today as well with much more. I appreciate you joining us on Good Day.